Hey, we're Blenderstyle, and today we're going through the eyes of madness on this magical journey discussing Coheed and Cambria and their 2005 album, Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 1, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. It's a long title. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
There's like 5 numbers in the title and like 50 words. This is a fan pick from Jeremy with Cetacea Media Group. But it was also, you just picked it randomly.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it was on our fan request list.
Yeah, and I don't know why I picked it. I think we were just kind of joking around about weird groups from the early 2000s. And
this would count, yeah.
Yeah, and so I threw it out there, and then you mentioned that it was a fan pick, and I was like, well, that's why I picked it.
Yeah, so it's a fan pick.
And I
Oh,
already
really?
forgot.
I thought you actually picked it because it was a fan pick.
He doesn't look at
No,
the
I don't
list.
look
He's
at
an
the fan
asshole.
list.
Oh.
So you're typically into this kind of like prog, pop, rock?
So, no, I think it was a prank from my brother and Kevin Edgecombe.
What?
I had installed a amp and some subs on his car, and they were going to the coast to visit our buddy Russ. They're like, hey, you want to ride with us? And I was like, yeah, sure. I haven't seen Russ in a couple weeks. And so I rode with them, and the whole entire way over there, they played Coheed and Cambria's first album, pretty much on repeat. And my brother said, oh, what do you think about the singer? And I was like, oh, yeah, she's all right. He's like, ha! It's a guy. It's like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, cool.
But so listening to it the whole way there and back, I kind of got hooked, and then I kind of checked out this album, and I feel like this is a better album than the first one.
So when you first heard of Coheed and Cambria, this album was already out?
No, it was probably 2000, maybe 2003, 2004, because it was
This
right
is
after.
2005, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was before this album came out. But after, listening to it, I don't think I've ever listened to anything after this album of Coheed and Cambria.
Well, there's a song on here, Welcome Home,
Yes.
that became a very popular song.
It did.
It's a killer track.
For
dude.
good reason. It's excellent.
Yes.
Welcome Home is excellent.
So that's one of my things about, I think why I like this album better than the first one is because this has like a more guitar driven kind of thing going on. Although at the same time,
Yeah, it's kind of like surfer riffy.
yeah, but at the same time, I feel like it has more of the meandering, draggy songs on it than the first album does.
I would agree with you 100%.
So it's definitely proggy.
Dude, it's so proggy.
Because it just like every song is bizarre and
Yeah, it's for sure.
has its own journey.
So when I first got into Coheed, it was also their first album.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it very much to where I like overplayed it, right?
Mhm.
And the second album, I really liked it too. And I always thought in those albums that it kind of sounded like Rush,
Yeah.
And they
Good
further
comparison.
like started to sound more like kind of like Rush. And I remember like reading an interview with them and like him being like, "Oh, we're not really that influenced by him." And I'm like, "Well, that's weird, Maybe he's telling the truth, right?" And
Yeah.
it just so happens that it like kind of like
There's like, we just stumbled upon this new formula that you go back in time and you're like, oh, wait, no.
So you're saying that because mainly his vocal delivery is kind of like a higher pitch, like
And also, Rush wasn't afraid to kind of get a little bit like upbeaty, and like this kind of does
Well,
too.
the time signatures on the drums on this are a lot like Rush has, like those really off time signatures and stuff. And I feel like the drumming on a lot of these out
the
on
syncopation,
Yeah.
whatnot.
well,
Because he's a pretty straightforward drummer as well.
yeah.
He's like always
I
kind of.
don't think
like
the drums sound like Rush at all. But I get the vocal part. And usually vocals like this kind of bug me. Like we did Orbs,
Mhm.
and it was just like that guy's vocals really bug the shit out of me. But I feel like, I'll be straight up, I don't think this is great. But I think his vocals do work in the
They
music.
do.
It's like Smashing Pumpkins.
Mhm.
Billy Corgan
I
is
can't stand
annoying
Billy
sounding.
Corgan's voice.
But in Smashing Pumpkins, I like it kind of.
I don't.
Nathan, Smashing Pumpkins kind of suck. I'm joking. I actually like them, but I know
Yeah,
that's a
no,
trigger thing for
they
you.
really suck.
That's not a trigger thing for me, but like, wow, we're gonna out here on this. We're gonna talk Smashing
We're
Pumpkins
just gonna have
on
this
Coheed
discussion
and
now.
Cambria.
I'm just joking. All right.
Well, like I said, I was a fan before, and this album kind of like I liked, was it Welcome Home, right?
Yeah.
And, like, dude, killer riff, like, the lyrics are great. I've always liked that the lyrics have always kind of been on the dark side, but this one gets a little too happy for me, and it does kind of meander a little bit. It kind of, like, all starts to kind of sound the same, and it's a lot of filler, and it's kind of, like, only a couple good tracks, but those couple good tracks are like
standouts.
Dude, like, honestly, the final cut I fucking love.
Yeah.
And what an ender, bro.
I also like the whole concept of their albums up until I think it's based off the comic that he wrote.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you would get into this, because I was like,
do you know what this one's about?
Yeah,
I don't, because I'm not
but
a comic reader.
It's about a comic?
Yeah, so there's a comic called The Armory Wars, or a graphic novel, because comics are for kids. There's a graphic novel called The Armory Wars, and this is the third album, which is also based off the third installment of a tetralogy.
I don't like that. So is that why there's like so many like Roman numerals on this?
And I think that's where the like Burning Star 4 is like the I guess the fourth chapter.
The numbering system of this shit is confusing.
Well, yeah, and then there's so this is Good Apollo and Burning Star 4 Volume 1 from the Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, and then there's Good Apollo and Burning Star 4 Volume 2.
So is this
this is kind of where they lose me. Like, I don't care about the concept.
Yeah,
because I don't think this album is very cohesive, honestly.
So we talked about this.
No, I mean, like, with like, it's kind of, we've done albums like this too, where they're like, it's a concept album.
So we kind of talked about the overarching story thing when we did the Seven Spires album, and how like she wrote this like idea and base the albums on.
It's very complex.
It's very complex, and I feel like that's
but you have
the
to read
same thing here, where like you got to really read into it to like make sense of it.
So it's not only me, because when I was looking at this, I'm like, I can't get through this.
Yeah, and so like kind of where Nathan's at, there's like all this filler because they're trying to base the album off of this graphic novel, and it's not all action, and you got to have a song for the stupid parts where dude's leaving home and his mom packed him a sack lunch or something. What do you think about
this comic
there?
Sounds bad. Is this like Archie?
Well, I don't know if that's actually what happened because I've never read it.
But so like I've always thought that Coheed always has kind of had like kind of some darker lyrics,
Oh, for sure.
I never really got too much into the story, and like that's kind of like my beef with it is that like it's another one of those bands that's like you're either with us or you're not. You know what I mean?
I feel like if you're not following it, you're kind of left behind. And if you can't just appreciate it for the music, then you're kind of like, I don't know what's going on.
Is this comic like a teen?
I have no idea.
This sounds like high school teen like comedy. Theme music.
I honestly don't even know what the whole
idea
the music. Yeah, but I mean the lyrics sound pretty dark.
Some of the lyrics are pretty dark.
I read them, but I'm just like,
But I'm with Nathan at the same time. Like there's some like the tracks on here that hit and they're really good and they deliver, and there's like this really cool guitar driven.
I feel like it's only the first couple tracks and then it turns into this other shit that's kind of lousy.
Dude, I think the first two tracks don't even need to be on there, bro.
I like Always and Never quite a bit, and I like the orchestral
I'm with Nathan. I don't
intro.
think the first two tracks need to be on there.
It's a good song, but it's like it makes it drag. The beginning of this record drags. Dude.
Yeah, Welcome Home,
Keeping the Blade, great. Always and Never, and then
I don't disagree,
home,
but
great.
I also think those are the best songs.
10 Speed,
because the rest is weird.
God's Blood and Burial, good. I feel like it's kind of hit and miss in between there until The Suffering.
It's like prog pop.
Yeah,
I feel like they also kind of
like surfy guitar.
It's heavy
prog.
Rush.
It's yeah. It's like it's very derivative, not derivative, but it's like the successor of Rush. That's a good way of putting it. And Rush is fucking nerdy and annoying.
Yeah,
and like positive too much, and I don't. Yeah. I appreciate it's for like being as complex, and I don't
see positive. I see positive notes being played, and I think that's kind of where what's throwing me off. Yeah, it gets lost
clearly.
Like I don't, and I think that they were kind of. They tried. Okay, so there's also no like screaming or anything on this. He used to like in the first two records used to get a little bit more screamy. It was a lot more darker, heavier riffs and stuff. And this is very bright and like it kind of loses me at times, you know.
I'm with
and it
you
sucks because
100%.
I was like a fan of Coheed.
Was that when he was like on Lost or whatever?
So he's always like, he's probably like, nah, yeah, another guy,
another one.
That guy at a steakhouse that walks up to him, he's like, hey,
we got a guy from Lost.
I just, for me, dude, the final cut is like a great song to me. I think I don't know, it's a way to end it, and it has like Pink Floyd guitar tones in it. It sounds like a Strat and a keyboard, but and then maybe 2 other songs, but the rest of this falls flat for me, guys. It's a 3.8.
Really?
Were we not?
No, that's just a really low rating. I mean, I'm surprised you went that low. Honestly.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I did think you were going to dig this more. Like you said, you were a fan before. I think you may have mentioned that to me before.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of I think they took some parts that kind of worked for them in the first 2, and then they kind of like really tried to go down on it, like the hand clapping and stuff, and like some of it sounds a little bit like they already kind of done it, you know?
Yeah.
And then the upbeat guitar stuff, I'm not that into. I don't know. The first 2 records were a lot better, and this is kind of a letdown for me, guys.
wow.
Wow.
I thought I was going to enjoy it a lot more too.
I kind of agree. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it a lot, but it's a 3.1 out of 5 for me.
Wow.
I think it is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if someone's way into this band, I get it. Like, I feel like there's a lot to get into and enjoy here. But it's just kind of lame. Like, it's weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you have to get into the lyrics a lot to really enjoy this, and it's just like homework. It just sounds like high school teen music.
So I expected
theme music.
a low rating from you because this really isn't in your kind of your wheelhouse. Your style
Yeah,
of
we
music.
like talked about like Counting Crows, which
like,
has like the same kind of like wimpy,
to hear Nathan give
shitty
it
attitude.
I think you got it just all wrong. I think you're the one with the
I
shitty
disagree.
attitude.
I feel like, but
I'm the emo one.
But I feel like Nathan giving it a 3.8 was like a really like a low gut punch, which I was surprised because like
You don't like my
for
gut punch?
But I expected it from you.
Yeah.
I expected Nathan to give this way higher, and I mean, I just don't get it because to me this is a 3.9.
Really?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the first album.
Yeah, the first album's 100 times better than
Why did you
this.
pick that one?
I agree.
I feel like the guitar work in this is like a whole level above the first album.
The guitar playing is pretty
Amazing in this one, but I feel like I feel
like Surfer, like I was
like
saying.
my thing is like I love guitar driven music, and so to me the songs that are on here are really guitar driven and they're really good. But as a cohesive album, I think like Nathan said, it falls flat. It meanders.
There's nothing.
It loses itself, and then it kind of tries to pick up, but then it doesn't do it. And maybe that's just the effect of trying to adapt a graphic novel into an entire album and tell the story. I think Fear Factory did the Obsolete album, and they wrote the treatment to kind of like revolve around this, and it worked because they wrote it to be a musical thing. Where I feel like this is written as a graphic novel and then tried to adapt, and it just doesn't work to me. So yeah, I just feel like there's some really and then to kind of touch on that, I don't think I ever listened to anything from Coheed and Cambria's after this album.
So is the first album worth going and listening to?
Yeah.
The second stage
First
turbine
and second.
What's the album called?
The first one's the second stage turbine blade or something.
So what
along
the
those
fuck
lines?
is with bands doing these long titles like Fiona Apple,
Well,
which I'm a
also
big fan
around
of,
this-
but dude, what the
Around this time in like 2005, that was kind of the big thing too. Like you
Ugh.
had bands like
you had to really
The
push
Fear Before the March of
CD,
Flames,
like
From
the
Autumn
CD
to
text
Ashes.
labels.
70 minutes.
No,
All
the-
That
the-
Remains.
the-
fucking long names. Everyone had goddamn long names.
But you had to push the limit of what the CD like text thing could handle.
It's annoying, dude. It's annoying. It makes your shit less accessible and harder.
I think this band though has come out with stuff after this that is pretty good though.
So you stayed a fan after this
I'll
one?
check it out, you know, and like they kind of slowed down, I think, for a minute.
Yeah, I think after the story for the graphic novel was done, they kind of just stopped for a little while, and I guess they're doing some other thing now. I don't know if it's
I
another
think they
graphic
had a
novel.
single called "Weight on My Shoulders" or something like that, and I thought that was a killer track.
They
I
did
thought
that song with Jesse's Girl, like the reimagining.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I still wish that I had Jesse's something like that.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I listened to that today.
It was good. But yeah, I'm kind of with Nathan. Like, I'll check out the stuff they do, but there hasn't really been, as far as like, I don't go like deep dive into them. Like if a single comes out, I'll listen to it, and there hasn't been anything that's really caught my attention lately. Like I even kind of think the Jesse's Girl thing was kind of weak, but that's just
it's like funny.
Yeah, it's more funny than anything.
Yeah.
So we're Blenderstyle. That was Coheed and Cambria. Good Apollo on Burning Star 4. From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. Check us out on social media. We don't have any except for Instagram, but YouTube's great too.
I think we have a Facebook.
Oh, we have Bookface too.
Yeah, but subscribe to our YouTube and leave a comment. What album should we review next?
I feel like we should see each other more.